Hi. Last night, I deleted the last social media app that I have. Well, besides YouTube, I'm keeping YouTube, obviously, because I'm making YouTube videos. But I'll talk about YouTube later in this video. Last night I deleted the last social media app that I was consistently using. That was Reddit. But I wanted to talk about that because um, I think social media has had a pretty deep and profound impact on my life. I'm not talking about from a content creator perspective, but from um, a user of social media. Uh, and I think that it's had some pretty deep societal impacts overall. So I think it's worth talking about. Also, my wife and I rewatched a documentary that's on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. I think it's from 2020, and it was talking about the um, effects of social media on society um, over the previous decade. Because it's really like, let's see here. Well, I think I can go. I can. Well, I recommend watching that documentary because it talks about the concerning sides of social media and explains it very well. And I'm going to try to explain some of that as well here. We're going to rewind to when I was younger. We didn't have cell phones. I'm 41. I was born in 1984. When I was a kid, we had the house phone. That was a landline. Um, I played around in the dirt. As a kid, there was an empty lot next to our house, and so all the kids in our neighborhood, we would meet up at the empty lot, and someone had dumped a huge pile of dirt, which when I was a kid, it was like as tall as I was, but it was probably like 3 or 4 feet high pile of dirt, and all the kids in the neighborhood, well, on our street, there's a pretty big neighborhood, but on our street, we all would like gather and play around the big dirt pile and like dig into it and try to make it like a volcano with a tunnel and stuff and like sticks and find bugs and both boys and girls. We had a great time. And as I grew older, I'd bicycle to my friend's house and we watched TV. And TV at that time was a scheduled programming. It was not on demand like now. You can just go on YouTube and click what you want, or you go on your app and you click what you want. It wasn't like that. You just were it was just whatever was scheduled, and you had the choice of watching, and you had several channels you can choose from. But if you didn't like any of the things on that was playing at the time, well, tough luck. It's just you either watch whatever something you don't really want to watch, or you turn it off and then you go read a book or play outside or go to sleep. It's a different time. Um, Also, I remember that in that time, people were much friendlier, and I would say maybe happier. Maybe it's hard to tell because I was a kid and a teenager, but I feel like people were friendlier. Like if you meet somebody and stranger, and then you'd be like, "Hi, how's your day going?" And you actually really do care about how their day was going, and they really do want to share how their day was going and find out how your day is going and who you're from and where you're from. These days, the people don't do that. So what I've seen is a pretty profound shift of this communal aspect of society where we're all neighbors, we coexist together, to this like pretty toxic. I can't even call it society anymore because it's really like the social fabric that holds us together is all ragged right now. There's so much hate, and people can't even like have a conversation without like triggering each other. Literally can't have a rational discourse anymore because truth is so warped that it like buried under like layers and layers of lies, suspicions, paranoia, anger, and hatred. So there's been a pretty big shift in my lifetime, which I've been alive for 4 decades, but I see this shift, and it's very concerning. People that were born later, like in the early 2000s, they were born into this. So they don't know what it was like before. Now, people who are older than me, like 60s, 70s, 80s, well, I'm sure that they definitely see this pretty drastic shift over this last decade and a half with social media. And I don't think social media is like the only cause for this. I've made other videos about how as the population exponentially increases on a finite planet with finite resources, that means that there's less to go around for everybody. Plus, we're already using up resources like fossil fuels that don't replenish. So, with exponential growth of people, but the same number of resources, we're chomping away at it exponentially faster, and that means that there's less to go around, and each person has less than they did before. And that can make people angry and feel dissatisfied and suspicious and paranoid, and it can fuel hatred and anger. Well, I never said anger. It can fuel hatred and division. So there's definitely social media effect layered on top of this underlying population and resources problem. But this social media thing is, I think, a huge problem. And so I want to talk about it. So let's see how to start. What is the problem? Okay, I think the problem is that social media is designed to feed us advertisements that, or just content that tweak how we view the world and ourselves in a certain way that is beneficial to someone to make money. And that's the problem. So there's content that we all see if you have social media is essentially like warping the way that we see the world and ourselves and other people in our community in a way that generates money for companies, corporations. In order to do that, they have advertisements, but in order to make money from the advertisements, they have to have your attention. So, what draws people's attention? Well, it's not peaceful, loving, happy things. It does some. There's like really cute puppy and kitten videos and like funny jokes, comedians, but that's not what draws like the most views and engagement from people. It's things that are shocking, outrageous. Like how can that person do that? Like Karen videos, someone spouting off like racist stuff or like political things, or some mass murderer hurting people, or someone just saying really dumb things, or really like hurtful things that you really shouldn't say, or doing hurtful things. Things that things that elicit fear. That's way I think it grasps people's attention way stronger than things that are talking about love and community and coexisting and appreciating the differences that we all have. Those videos or posts, they do get attention, but they don't get near the attention that posts that inspire fear and hatred and anger do. Well, the problem is that these internet companies, their motivation is just to make money. It's not to make society a better place to live. They don't have the goal of making our communal, our social fabric stronger. That's not their motivation. Their motivation is to make more money for their shareholders. And if you have the choice of having content that promotes people loving their neighbors and loving themselves, that gets maybe 1 million views, and then you've got content that says, oh, your neighbor might actually want to kill you. Actually, probably does want to kill you, so you probably should kill them first. And that content gets 6 million views instead of 1 million. Well, the social media company is going to be like, I'm going to get 6 times as much money from this video. Let's roll with it. To hell with society. There is no reason for them to choose the other one. I mean, they'll put both of them up. But what'll happen is this one will drown out that one just from the algorithm. So what happens to people who are using this? Well, they start to think, oh man, my neighbor wants to kill me. I should kill them first. I mean, that would be the logical thing to do, right? I don't want to be killed. They're going to kill me, so I should just kill them. But that's not like the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is we're all neighbors. We all live together and rely on each other. I don't think everybody wants to kill each other. I don't want to kill other people. I want to coexist and have a supportive community, hopefully. I know I'm not alone in that. But it kind of seems like, if you just looked at social media, that there aren't that many people like that. But I don't think that's the actual case. I think that there's actually way more people that want to live like that than they want to hurt their neighbor. But because social media has this this algorithm that wants to make money at all costs, it will promote this harmful content that is harmful to our community. so that that social media company can make more money. So that is my concern. And I noticed that I want to talk about the effects that I've noticed in my own mind and soul from using social media. And I'll explain what social media I've used in the past. Well, I used Facebook when it first came out, and it was pretty cool to like make connections, keep connected with my friends, message them, see what they're up to, share what I'm up to. But I quickly stopped using that. I started using it when it first came out. It was like the early 2000s. And then I think I stopped using it in like 2014 when I finished residency. I don't know, I just didn't really... Oh, I was just so busy with starting my first job, and I just didn't really find it that useful anymore. So I stopped using that, but I held on to it up until I started this YouTube channel, and it went viral. And then someone was going through my YouTube and taking pictures from going through my Facebook and taking pictures from my Facebook, and then making fake channels of Goobie and Woobie channel. And fake accounts on other social media using pictures that I had from my Facebook. So I just deleted my Facebook. I haven't gone back. But I wasn't using Facebook much by that time. This was last year. I had tried downloading TikTok. I did download TikTok. And I used it like for a day. And I would pick up my phone, and then I open up the app, and I'd just be like, okay, and like scrolling, okay. But it was early on, so like the artificial intelligence algorithm didn't have time to really cater to my preferences. So the stuff that I was looking at, I was like, that's not really that interesting. And like I feel like my brain is losing its attention span by looking at these short video clips. And so I was like, my brain hurts. I don't think this is good for my brain. So I just deleted the TikTok app. I'll come to YouTube Shorts. But I never had at the end. I never had Instagram, so I don't know. My wife has shown me what Instagram is like with the feed and the reels, and honestly, it seems pretty similar to me to that effect that TikTok had on me. I was like, oh, my brain, I can't focus anymore. YouTube Shorts kind of have that effect. I'll talk about it a little bit because it's the same as the reels and TikTok. Like I'll be watching a YouTube short. Like I'll upload a short of mine, and then I'll go and I'll check it, and then when it's over, you go to the next one, and then I'll watch it and be like, that's kind of curious, and then I'll go to the next one. I'm like, like not that interesting, but kind of interesting. Go to the next one. Be like, Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. And then pretty soon, like 30 minutes is gone, and I'm like, what the hell did I do for 30 minutes? And my brain feels funny. Like I can't focus on stuff anymore. I feel like my brain turned into like pudding. Like what did this do to me? So I think YouTube Shorts and Reels and TikTok are actually hijacking the way your brain works. I talked a little bit about the reward system in the last video about success. Success is not about trying hard. So I talk a little bit about how the brain works. So you got a reward system that uses dopamine to, if you do something and it lights up the dopamine system, then it makes your brain change its circuits so that you're more likely to keep doing whatever that was. And I think these very short videos essentially hijack that dopamine system. And because AI is learning what your preferences are, what stimulates that dopamine in your brain, it learns very quickly to give you stuff that keep giving you micro bursts of dopamine. So it's essentially getting you hooked and addicted. And each swipe is kind of like pulling the lever on a gambling machine, the slots. You just like swipe, I wonder what I'm going to get this time. And then sometimes it's like mind-blowingly entertaining. Other times it's not. It's kind of random, and that's how you addict any animal or person. Is you don't give them reward every single time. They'll quickly get bored of it. They'll get too much reward, and you can't be too infrequent. Otherwise, it gets it's too difficult, and people give up. You need to give a fraction of the tries, like swiping or pulling the lever on the slot machine. A fraction of the time needs to be really amazing, and then like say a third of the time you swipe up, you find something really cool, and then 2/3 of the time it's like something that's either mildly cool or not cool at all, but it has to be random, and then that really hooks the brain. So I find that YouTube Shorts, Reels, TikTok, the short video feeds, it is this algorithm, this AI, taking advantage of how our brain works and gluing us into the screen to show us advertisements or change the way we think about ourselves, our society, other people, our world. And I think that's actually very dangerous, exceedingly dangerous. Yeah. Well, okay. I'll come back to YouTube, but I'll talk about Reddit because Reddit is what I was using very heavily for the last decade or so. Yeah. Reddit, if you haven't used it, it is like it shows you feeds of news stories or videos posted by people to other social media, or people just make memes. So it could be videos, it could be links to news articles or links to people's blogs, and it's broken up into subreddits that are about a particular topic. And so, for instance, there's a subreddit called Public Freakout, which is dedicated to people freaking out in public, and this is like the epitome of this outrage thing. Like you watch it, and it's like a bunch of Karens and like racist, hurtful, bigoted people saying awful things, or like people murdering people and running them over, or people just losing their minds, like just acting completely crazy, or like just political stuff. It's like stuff that just like you look at it and you're like, oh my God, society is so trash. How are we alive? Like this is the worst. People are the worst, but you can't stop looking at it. You just keep scrolling up and you keep looking at it. And then if you just looked at that every day, you would think that, oh my God, society deserves to be exterminated, burned pulled up at the roots, buried. Never again should we ever try this. But that's not the reality. It's like this. It's like this hall of mirrors. It's like this silo, this rabbit hole, or echo chamber. That's another name. There's definitely echo chambers. There's political echo chambers on Reddit. There's one subreddit that I read like every day for the past decade, and I deleted this app last night. But it's the collapse subreddit. It talks about the unsustainability of civilization, and there are many good scientific articles about this topic. But there's a lot of fear mongering too. That is twisting the actual facts to make it perceive that there's a bigger problem. Bigger problem about that particular topic than there is. That being said, we have a really big problem about civilization being unsustainable. Now, I'm grateful for the contributors to the Collapse subreddit. Excuse me. I'm grateful to the people that contribute to that and comment on that, because I learned a whole bunch. But I also could tell that it was affecting my mind and my perception of the world. I think it was invaluable to me to learn the information that I did, but I think it also harmed me in the process. I think it made me, maybe appropriately pessimistic about the chances of our civilization surviving. I think it's actually very low. But talking about that and thinking about that is not conducive to a peaceful, happy mental state. So, and there was a lot of fear mongering on that I had to try to tune out, but it's hard to tune that out and then just find the scientific articles and things talking about like energy use and changes to the environment. It's hard to just look at those and not look at the ones that are like people eliciting fear and outrage, or being just flat out depressed. So, was it helpful? Yes. Was it hurtful? Yes. I think it's the social media, whatever form it is. And I've never used Twitter either, surprisingly, but I never used Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I think what these things do is they use that computer algorithm, this AI, to figure out exactly what you're predisposed to. And it magnifies it. So let's say, in my case, I have a predisposition to being concerned about what we're doing to the environment. Okay, so that also comes with a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, and a little bit of anger about what we're doing to the forests, the fishies, the birds, the insects, and each other. So just that concern comes with a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, and a little bit of rage or anger. That algorithm sees what I'm reading and I'm clicking on, and then it's like, oh, Goobie seems to be predisposed to being pessimistic and wanting to see things that stoke fear or anxiety or rage. So let's give Goobie some rage bait here, and maybe some fear bait there. Not all the time, but just, a little bit here, a little bit there. And we'll see what happens. And I click on it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. What? I can't believe this person did this thing. Or I can't believe that person said that thing. Like, oh my gosh, our society is falling apart. And then the algorithm is like, oh, Goobie really spent a lot of time reading those articles and looking at those videos. I think it's time we give him a little bit more. So they give me a little bit more, and I'm like, oh man, this is worse than I thought. This is how it magnifies some small predispositions to be blown way out of proportion. So let's say there's somebody else, okay? Not me. let's say they they don't live in a big city. They live in the country. They farm, and everyone around them in their town looks the same. They're all white. There's no black people or Asian or Indian people. They're all white. They all go to the same church in the morning, on Sundays, and hardly anyone goes out of town except maybe to the big city, like once or twice a month. The rest of the time, you're just hanging out, enjoying the beautiful mountains, the rivers, seeing elk walk by. Well, if that way of life starts to become tougher because things are more expensive, but your ability to make money from growing the crops or selling the cow or the milk from the cow is not really going up, but all the costs of living are going up, the taxes on the land. Well, if I was that person, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, the heck, why am I giving this money to some rich city person who doesn't care, doesn't give 2 cents about me, I would be predisposed to being angry. I would think, if I was living in that situation. No, I don't know, because I don't live in that situation. I'm just trying to imagine and trying to empathize with that situation. But there's a lot of good things too. There's you know your neighbors. You support your neighbors. You've got beautiful mountains and forests. There's a lot of good things, but there's this other thing, this little bit of anger, and this, because everyone around you looks the same, this little bit of distrust of people that look different or think differently or live in the city. So then now I'm that person, and I go on social media and I look at things, and then the algorithm starts to figure out, oh, this is Woobie, so not Goobie, but Woobie, the alternate version of me. Oh, Woobie likes to look at this stuff. Well, they seem to be kind of distrustful of people that look differently. Maybe we should send them some videos about how foreigners are making people's lives difficult. Yeah, okay, let's just try a little bit of that. And now Woobie, I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, these foreigners, they're messing up people's lives. Can't have that. And then the algorithm looks and says, whoa, Woobie spent a lot of time looking at that. Well, we were able to show Woobie several ads, and we made money off of it, so let's keep going. And then it shows Woobie some videos about distrusting educated people, like science people that talk about the climate. It's like, oh, climate change is a hoax. I knew those educated people were just trying to take advantage of regular folk like me. Screw them. Yeah, climate change is a hoax. See, this is how this the social media algorithm can take some small predispositions and then magnify them and blow them up. Now all of a sudden you've got Goobie living in the city. So I got Goobie, me, living in the city, and I went to MIT. I went to a science and technology school. I studied biology, but I took ecology classes. And I look at what's happening to the environment, the trees being cut down, loss of biodiversity, microplastics. I see CO2 and methane trapping sunlight heat, glaciers melting. I see all these things, and I'm like, oh shit, we are in a pickle. And then now you got Woobie. Woobie's on the other side. Woobie's like, all those scientists are paid for by these corporations that want to take advantage of people like me, and I'm not going to have any of it. That's all bollocks. Now let's say Woobie and Goobie meet on the street, and I say, hey Woobie, how's it going? It's nice to meet you. Like, what? How's your day going? And then Woobie says, well, my day would be going. My day is okay, but like, those darn foreigners, and those people that just kind of keep making up fake news about climate change. And then like Goobie, I'm here, and I'd be like, what? Oh, huh. Oh, well, like in my mind, I think, gosh, I don't know where to start. Or if I started talking, and then the other person, if I started talking and I'm like, hey, well, this actually happened yesterday. One of my friends that I sometimes play with online, he lives actually 2 or 3 hours south of where I am in Washington State. So I live in Seattle, and then my friend lives in like a small town in Washington. And this actually literally happened yesterday. We're playing and having a good time. And then my friend, so we're going to say Woobie. Woobie says, oh, this is a true story. Woobie says, I'm getting a lawnmower delivered. I'm getting a lawnmower delivered tomorrow. So I say, oh, really? Well, what's so special about this lawnmower? And then Woobie says, well, it's got double lever steering. So you can make like tight circles. You can actually like you can spin around in a circle if you want, and it's the sitting lawnmower. And then I say, oh, well, that's really cool. Can you do a wheelie on it? And then Woobie laughs. Haha, no. I mean, maybe. I guess I'll find out. And then and I laugh. I'm like, I'm thinking about doing a wheelie on a lawnmower. And I was like, that sounds pretty dangerous. I'm thinking about like the cutting blades. If you do a wheelie, the cutting blades are exposed. So, and then I say, hey, it's a good thing you got this lawnmower now, because with all these tariffs that are in going into play, it's probably going to be really expensive to get that same lawnmower like a year from now or 6 months from now. And then Woobie says, well, China is going to pay for this. These tariffs are going to hurt them way more than us, and they're going to cave. And I'm like, oh, maybe, but that totally didn't address what I didn't say this. But in my mind, I'm like, that totally did not address what I was saying, was that is probably going to be more expensive because there are tariffs. It, in Woobie's mind, it went straight to, well, we're hurting that other person that looks different and is a foreigner. And in my mind, I'm like, we literally have gone off the rails in our conversation. So I just stopped talking about it because I like my friend. I like Woobie. I like Woobie, and I like playing with Woobie. I think he's a really fun person to play this game with, and he's a really chill person, easy to talk to, and he's very good at playing this game, at shooting and communicating, and like he's very good at making decisions on his own without other people's input, but is taking in everyone in the squad, in the groups, well-being into account. So I mean, it's like amazing team member. So yesterday, this thing happened, and then I think both of us were like, "Oh, I really like that guy. I still like the guy. I still like Woobie, and I still will play with him. But I'm not gonna go anywhere near any of those kind of touchy, triggering topics, because I think social media is really just polarized everybody. It's hijacked our brains. It's ripping apart the cohesion that we have as neighbors. I like Woobie, my real life friend, who lives in the same state, Washington State, but in a very different circumstances. I really like him. I like playing with him. I think he likes me too, and I think he likes playing with me too. But yesterday, we had a little bit of a tiff. Nothing bad happened. We kept playing, and we actually won a game, and we called it, our squad called it a day around our usual time. Luckily, it was the last game, and we won it, and felt good. And I'm looking forward to playing with Woobie again sometime. But I thought that this social media thing really divides people. It could have ruined my friendship with Woobie. I like Woobie. I want to stay friends with Woobie. But this social media thing, and like the way it's programmed my brain to think, and the way it's programmed his brain to think, put us at odds yesterday. I think that's very dangerous. It's very, 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 very dangerous. It's very concerning. And then I watched that documentary called The Social Dilemma, which was talking about these very problems that I'm talking about here. And so I decided to delete the last social media thing that I have, which is Reddit. It's gone. Every morning when I would wake up, I would check the news. That's an interesting one. Where do people get unbiased news from? I think all news is somewhat biased, but where is the least biased news? And so I was looking it up, and it seems like the least biased news is the Associated Press, or like a national public news source like NPR, but again, it's hard. Everything is slanted one way or the other, so it's hard to know. But like looking at CNN or Fox News is probably the worst place to get news from, because they're business. They are just like the social media algorithms. They're telling you stories to elicit fear and anger and outrage so that you keep watching, and then you can watch the commercials. So trying to find a news source that doesn't have that business model is like probably next to impossible. But I think a publicly funded news source or a collaborative, like I think Associated Press and National Public Radio, it would probably be the closest you can get. So like in the morning when I wake up, I check the news, And then I would check Reddit. And then I would wake up and I'd brush my teeth and make a green smoothie and take Doobie out to potty. And I just feel kind of angry. Just a little bit of anger and like a little bit of like, life's kind of messed up. But today, because I didn't have the app, I didn't look at it, brushed my teeth, made some green smoothie, and took Doobie out. And she pottied, and we were just standing out there and hearing the birds, feeling the cool breeze, looking up at the clouds. And I felt happy. And I felt happy to be there with Doobie. And I'm grateful to be alive with my dog. And just to be alive, too. There wasn't this underlying anger and outrage that usually accompanies my mornings. So, yeah, it has a really powerful effect. Now, the last part of this talk, I'm going to talk about YouTube. Because I am making content for a social media company, YouTube. And I get paid by YouTube for the ads that are shown in front of my videos. So, that is a problem. Well, is it a problem? I think it could be a problem. So, that's why I'm going to talk about it. For one, I had made like 150 shorts in this past year. This channel's been around for a year. And shorts are kind of fun. They don't take as much effort as long videos, and I can show Doobie doing cute things or some animal that like a great blue heron flying across the sound. Put it to some music. Pretty cool. But when I watch my own shorts to check the quality and the sound and everything, I get sucked into the YouTube shorts, just like I described earlier. It just sucks me in. I become zombified. So I've decided I'm not going to make any more shorts. I'm going to focus on long form videos. Because I don't want other people to be sucked into zombie mode like I do every time I look at shorts. I don't want that to happen to other people. Right now, this is my job, making videos. This is how I am able to buy some food and pay the rent. So I'm going to continue doing that, but I'm going to try to do it conscientiously. Like one of the things that I have an option to do is put ads all the way through my video, like every 8 minutes. And when I watch like a TV show, like on Amazon Prime, even though I have Prime and I watch the TV show, ads keep showing up like every 8 to 10 minutes. It really pisses me off. Like I hate that because it really ruins the flow of the story. I'm really in tune with the characters and the story and the feelings that are going on, and then all of a sudden someone's trying to sell me some little robot that vacuums the floor, and I'm like, I really don't give a crap about that robot, but that advertisement is so well made, it just sucks my attention, and I'm like, whoa, maybe that robot's kind of cool. Maybe I do need that. No, I don't need that. It looks kind of cool. I like the music. Yeah, it's messed up. So for a couple weeks, I was enabling those ads, but I think that's a disservice to humanity. So at the expense of getting less reimbursement, I'm only going to have ads in the very beginning of the video, not throughout it, because I think it ruins the experience. And people have commented on that too. So that's another thing, a way to be in the system, but not feed the bad parts of the system. And that brings me to the point that there are some good things about social media. There are videos that promote social cohesion, strengthening the fabric that holds us together. Videos about empathy and cooperation and appreciating each other's differences and coexisting peacefully, and helping each other or supporting each other when needed, not all the time, because really everyone should help themselves, but sometimes you need help from others, and I think that's being a good neighbor. Is if someone really needs help in a certain situation, you help them. But if someone constantly needs help, that's not a good situation. That's a very unhealthy situation. I don't think anyone should be constantly helping someone else. That is the other person taking advantage of the former. And that can end in really harmful, toxic relationships. But I digress a little bit. There are some good things about social media. We can share messages of hope and social cohesion and caring, and helping ourselves out, like trusting ourselves. How do you trust yourself and help yourself? How do you take care of your body and your mind and your soul and your loved ones and your community and the other living creatures we live with, the trees, the birds and insects and fish? There are videos like that. I try to make those videos. And these videos get spread around the whole earth. Like this whole rock that we're living on that's hurtling through outer space. YouTube allows me to share these messages instantaneously around the whole planet. If I were to travel to each city and tell this story in like a school hall, town hall, it would take me more than my whole lifetime to do that the way that me posting on YouTube does instantaneously. So there are some good things. So my goal is to take care of my mind and my body. And I know that these social media algorithms are highly corrosive to good health in the mind, body, and soul, and in the community. So be mindful of that, and then work within the system to make content that strengthens the social fabric that holds us together. That is my goal. And I hope it's other people's goals too. I think we need more of that. And really, we probably need regulation on social media companies about how they promote their algorithms, because it really is destroying society. Because the motivation is not a healthy community. The motivation is making the most money for the shareholders of that company. So those are my thoughts on why I deleted my last social media app, excluding YouTube. Yeah. Well, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, and please be mindful if you're regurgitating very polarized talking points that you've heard many times through social media, because that's not helpful for anybody. This is a place for constructive discussion. It can include criticism, but it's not a place for promoting this hate and outrage that is everywhere in social media. Hope you have a good day or evening. Bye.